Welcome to the White Wall Sessions Radio. I'm your host, Dan Schaefer. On this week's episode, we feature Lou Shields, the Ruralists, and Janice Gilbert. If you'd like to know more about the artists on the show, visit thewhitewallsessions.com for features, links, and videos.
Check.
Lou Shields is an American folk artist who grew up in the suburbs of Chicago. Lou's unique front porch style of music continues the tradition of American music of the past. Lou is also an artist and frequently creates album art and show posters for himself and other musicians. Lou's latest record, Bad Axe Country, is available for download on Bandcamp.
Rebels sing, diddy want do. Cloud blew away when the sky turned blue. Church bell rang, wind sway. Wind is a blowing my soul today, yeah. Oh man, oh winter's coming on. That old wind is a blowing storm. Been feeling mighty restless now. I went along. I'm playing my wandering song now. Like one little line in the dark sky. Wind is a blowing that firefly. Preacher man say with the lights on you, climb that mountain, that's just what I do, yeah. Oh man, wind is coming on. That old wind is a blowing strong. I'm on my back porch, I'm playing my wandering song now. paid that man and I'll be living free. Well, meet me in the Algona, little cabin right there I see. Where they had that shotgun and it was pointed right at my head now. Don't you know I paid that man and oh, now I'll be living free. Meet me in the Algona, little cabin in the woods there I see. Oh man, run me down now, but I ain't no property. Running through my woods where they won't find me. When I paid them all off now, they'll never get me again. If you're living clean, well, we'll be living all right, I say now. Oh Lord, Lord, now, I can't come after me. Well, yes, yes, don't you know I paid them all off, I say. Well, yeah, Lord, now, I can't come after me. Well, yes, I paid that man and I've been living free. Well, meet me in the Algona, little cabin right there I see. But they had that shotgun and it was pointed right in my head now. Don't you know I paid that man and oh, and I should be living free. Meet me in the Algona, little cabin in the woods there I see. Hey, hey, well. Oh, we're together now, break of a new day. Running through our woods, no, they won't find me. When I paid them all off now, they never get me again. If we're living clean, well, we're living all right, I say now. Oh, Lord, oh, Lord, now, I can't come after me. Well, yes, yes, don't you know I paid them all off, I say now. Oh, Lord, oh, Lord, now, I can't come after me. Well, yes, I paid that man and I've been living free. Well, meet me in the Algona, little cabin right there I see. But they had that shotgun and it was pointed right in my head now. Don't you know I paid that man? Oh, now I'm living free. Meet me in the Algona, little cabin in the woods there I see. Hey, hey, well. Thank you, folks.
Well, you say you played, been playing in the late 80s, and there's been a lot of music kind of changing back then, but you kind of are a traditional music person. What does traditional music mean to you, and why do you come to it?
Yeah, well, it's kind of, as a kid, obviously, I was listening to what was around, so I heard a lot of Johnny Cash. I heard a lot of, 70s, early 80s, I should say, country stuff, and then the rock and everything else. And then I went through a lot of stages as a kid, listening to different music, especially 80s punk and all that, being a skateboarder, And especially with that movement. It's usually, early on anyway, it was a DIY thing. Everybody did their own stuff. Everybody knew each other. It was kind of a community, you know. And when I started to grow a little more musically and getting more and more interests, I started getting into old blues and old folk music and jazz music and a lot of different styles of American traditions, you know, and I have a huge, very deep respect for a lot of that, you know, and I just went into this learning mode for a lot of years trying to trace things back, you know, like, what's this song? What this song comes from somewhere else, I know it, you know, or whatever, and then you go back and find out somebody else wrote it here, and then somebody else recorded it there, and then here's the earliest one that we know of, you know, and that's kind of fun to stretch back like that, you know, so when I was doing this stuff, I was playing this stuff in the mid-'90s to myself in the living room because I was too scared to go anywhere and play. And, you know, I was always thinking about, like, what were the songs that weren't recorded, the technology to record stuff was about, you know? And I was thinking, I'm going to write those songs because nobody knows them, you know, and like that kind of thing. And so it was always like a mixing of a lot of traditions from the past, you know.
So you kind of decided you really liked that, and then you started writing songs in that style.
Yeah.
Specifically for that.
Yeah. Drawn from a lot of different, you know, American traditions from different regions of the United States as it goes, you know, and just putting it together as I go.
You've mentioned skateboarding a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
The creator of this show, Jeff Zuger, was a skateboarder.
Oh, cool.
And every time you mention skateboarders, his eyes get really big.
Yeah.
And yours do too. What is it about skateboarding that got that passion?
I think it's something very similar to what I was saying before, where, like, with some of these folk traditions and things in American music, where it's something we did. We kind of invented it here, you know, and it was our thing.
Going back down with me tonight. Bitch, I wanna make it on through with. Ain't no nothing you can do, don't you do what you got to do with. Back country, back country, back country. Tonight, get on down back through there. Down home cooking on the fire, don't you do what you got to do. Back country, yeah. Back country, back country, yeah. Tonight, get on down back through there. Get on back to your roots, don't you do what you got to do. Back country, yeah. Your back country. Tonight, get on down back through there. Head on back to your roots where now you got to do now. Back country, back country, back country. Country folks. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
The members of the Northwest Iowa band, the Ruralists, met at the campus of Dordt College in Sioux Center, Iowa. When they found that they had a passion for music, they wasted no time in starting a band. The Ruralists are Luke Hawley, vocals, guitar, Ben Lappinga, electric guitar, Laramie DeVries, electric guitar, Jake Miller on bass, and Titus Langen on drums.
I'm bone-tied, and my one desire is to hold you in my arms before the sun comes up. I'm road sick, so I'm coming home as quick as the wheels beneath my seat will carry me across the ground. Oh, brave face, I'm on my way. Oh, brave face, I'm on my way. Oh, brave face, I'm worn down, so I'm coming back to town, and I'm hoping that you're up and you'll meet me at the door. I'm world weak, and the only thing I seek is the soft touch of your hand against the skin of my cheek. Oh, brave face, I'm on my way. Oh, brave face, I'm on my way. Oh, brave face. Can't say just what sends me on my way, floating off above the trees to where no one is around. But I'm home now, and I'm wondering just how I could ever have believed I'd survive without you. Oh, brave face, we'll be okay. Oh, brave face, we'll be okay. Oh, brave face.
I mean, that does pose a unique situation when it's a small town. Like you said, okay, you get in the band. If it didn't work, you see each other. And so you're lucky that this all worked. Now, how many are involved at Dort? Just you, Luke? Or
I also
Ben
teach
teaches there.
you teach at Dort?
And both Jake and Laramie are
graduated from Dort, yeah. And Titus taught Luke's son drum lessons.
He still teaches my son drum lessons.
And Jake was just kind of a barfly at the Fruita Plain.
Well, for such a random sort of gathering, this is a pretty good band.
Yeah, Luke, we used to call, or when we were trying to figure out what to call ourselves, we threw around the idea of the best available options. Because, it's a town of 7,000 people, and there just aren't a ton of guitar players, there aren't a ton of drummers, there aren't a ton of really anybody. So it's just kind of like...
Yeah. So if you think the Ruralists is a bad name, it's much better than the best available options.
Well, how did you come to this sound? Because I understand there's some different tastes in music that all of you have.
Yeah, sometimes we like to describe what we do as a Venn diagram, and like the only place that all five of us overlap is the songs that we play. So we all have
really mapped it out.
We're working on it.
Yeah,
Chart.
right.
That's actually really cool.
We have, we all have sort of sacred cows that of bands that somebody else in the band would happily slaughter and eat, right? So there's sort of, and that makes for a really nice. We have to give and take because we don't agree on a whole lot except the things that we do. Yeah. So we were just joking about. Well, we have this genre conversation all the time. Like people ask us right after we're done playing, what kind of music do you play? And we go, I don't really know. I mean, somebody said feedback folk.
Yeah.
And somebody
That's
said, the best best one was Norman Rockwell meets Nirvana. But that's sort of a mouthful. And so one night we were talking about it, and Ben goes, "What? Well, we play songs, right?" And and we laughed at him for such a dumb sentence. But it's like really true.
I meant it though.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we do. We play
deep stuff.
We play songs,
You know.
right? So anyway,
I've sometimes said it's like you take Bob Dylan and you amp it up.
Yeah.
Bob Dylan did a lot of different things, and
But then you put like an occasional dance beat with it, and you know,
And no
then sometimes
harmonica.
it turns into punk.
No harmonica.
And then
Let's go on that, because
it's all over it's all over the place.
in the same song
Sure.
sometimes.
Yeah.
With, that Venn diagram you're talking about, that kind of, you can definitely hear that in the songs. I mean, talk about, first of all, the drum style is really unique. I mean, they got you pretty busy back there. You got all kinds
He
of
keeps
stuff
himself busy. I mean, we don't.
Go Titus, we love you.
I mean, really cool, because, some drummers will just keep a beat, which is, obviously you need that, and there's good drummers that do that. But then there's drummers that take that and make it more of a colorful instrument, and that's what you were doing, really playing it as a color instrument rather than just a rhythm instrument.
Trying, yeah. So I some of my most inspired drummers I enjoy, they play melodically. So the idea of taking the toms, taking the bass, even the cymbals, and you're going to match something that's happening in the melody, in the vocal line. And I try to do that. Probably some of my influences. Then I started college as a percussion performance major, and then after
he plays these.
hold on.
He's getting to it.
Started as a percussion performance major, and I liked playing. I had taught privately even in high school, but then I quickly realized I didn't like to practice, and you will not cut it if you're not practicing 6-7 hours a day, and that's eventually how I got into education.
He's a kindergarten teacher.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Nice.
So there's parts of me that's classically trained, and I did continue with some of that classical training and playing orchestras and the weird one.
Yeah,
that Luke
so
wanted to jump in
here's a
with. Go ahead.
ruralist moment for you, right? I mean, you talk about small towns and people sort of just jumping in. We had been playing for about a month maybe, and Titus got a gig playing with a Dutch pipe organist. I mentioned that earlier.
What was that dude's
What was that guy's name?
Arjan Broekhoven.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So Arjan
Dutch
comes
Billy
to
Bob
town, and he wants to put on a pipe organ concert, and he needs a drummer, and he somehow got
percussion.
No, but
he needs a percussion.
What'd you play? Vibes or?
I played crotales. And,
Yeah, that's the ones with the bows,
yeah,
right?
like these brass discs, and you bow them with like violin
Played
bows and
like
weird
four
stuff.
mallet.
Yeah.
I don't know what
Yeah.
that thing was.
And why don't you pull out the tuxedo for our shows?
Well, yeah, I got asked to be part of this, and so he had solo organ compositions from his albums, and then he said, add drums to
Yes,
it.
organ album. You heard that correctly.
It was beautiful music to start with, and then it was really neat to then add percussion to it and to see, can I make this better or different or more interesting? And it was a blast.
So percussion, not just click, 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 but making, using different instruments to create this. There's a whole science there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Behind that.
And Luke and I were up in the balcony with our children. They were sort of running around, and we were just.
It was incredible.
It was incredible. Yeah.
I wish somebody had been filming. It would have been strange. But.
Well, then you throw in this really punchy bass. I mean, that big hollow body bass is really cool, and that gives it. You were playing some dynamics in there that really gave it that '80s punk type feel to it, and then backing off, and I heard a lot of '80s in there. I guess kind of even U2-ish type stuff.
Yeah, it's I don't know what to call it. That bass is kind of almost a little '70s actually. You have the Beatles played all these short scale hollow body basses and things like that, and it's definitely a different dynamic, definitely punchy, kind of doesn't have the same sort of presence and sustain maybe, but I love the sound of it. I'm a total metalhead.
There's deep roots in metal, and yeah. So
Cool.
So I just kind of lose it back in the back and just kind of let whatever happen in the front, So great.
And then the two guitars, we got Ben and Laramie, and you have this classic Gibson Les Paul and Telly sound, which I've always liked those. The contrast of those two.
Yeah.
It just. How did and again, these guys came together with all these really cool pieces and parts, and it just makes it work, doesn't it? How do you guys play against each other? You're off each other, I guess.
No, against each other is a good word. I like
the
that.
right word. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's been the hardest one. I think that we, at least as far as what we were afraid of with the band, was that the two of us
how are we
were
going to
coming
coexist?
from such different places. Not only in that we play different guitars and have different sounds, but just influences, the way we envision what it means to be a guitar player in a band. And then who's the lead guitar player? Neither, both at times when we're fighting.
Yeah, but the fighting is like, I mean, I think we are different enough that we just naturally don't really step on each other's toes that much.
Right.
We don't really get into each other's, I don't know if it's tonal space or how you want to say it.
You've got this elephant heart beating slow and sound. I've got all these broken parts, and I'm wondering if I could stick around for a while, for a while, for a while, for a while. Me and my hummingbird head buzzing to beat the band. We sleep the sleep of the dead when you quiet the clamor with your hands and your hug, and your hug, and your and your. And I know how I float away, my dear, and leave you here alone. But I am coming back to you through the black and achromatic hues, to the color and the sound of you. I am coming back to you through the black and achromatic hues, to the color and the sound of you. I am coming back to you through the black and achromatic elephant's heart beating slow and sound.
Janice Gilbert comes from the small town of Eureka, South Dakota, where she fell in love with music. After winning a talent contest at the South Dakota State Fair, she headed for Minneapolis to record her first album. She spent several years in Nashville, but returned to South Dakota to teach music.
She was 10 when they moved again. Her daddy's job went to Abilene. New home, new 5th grade social scene. She would cry and ask Mom, why do I have to go to school? You don't know what it's like to start again. What could her mama say to a girl who just watched her old life fade away? You are braver than you believe. Though you're shaking, let a rock be what they see. When you're scared by this big old world, I hope you think back on my words. When life brings you to your knees, you're stronger than you think and braver than you believe. 18, homecoming queen, full ride to Texas A&M. Then there came a boy who changed her plans. She was late after their 3rd date, the night he held her in his daddy's car. When he left, she thought her life did too. Mama just said, girl, I know you regret this, but now you've got a job to do. And you are braver than you believe. When you're scared by this big old world, I hope you think back on my words. When life brings you to your knees, you're stronger than you think and braver than you believe. 9 months later, she's got her little girl beside her, calm her as she cries. And she knows someday those tears will be for reasons she can't shoulder. So for now she sings a lullaby. You are braver than you believe. Though you're shaking, let a rock be what they see. When you're scared by this big old world, I hope you think back on my words. When life brings you to your knees, you're stronger than you think. Oh, you are stronger than you think. You are stronger than you think and braver than you believe. Thank you. I thought he was a joke when he pulled up in a long black shiny hearse. My sister set us up, but never really told me where he worked. He reached into the back and pulled out a bouquet of white lilies. I was kind of flattered until I saw the card that said, with deepest sympathy of all my blind dates, this one takes the cake. I ducked my head when the other cars gave us the right away. Been out with some losers, muscleheads and stalkers, but this'll be my last date with Eddie the Embalmer. He said he knew a place where the two of us could go to be alone. My skin began to crawl when the moon lit up a row of old gravestones. I must have misheard. I thought he was taking me to the museum. But then I saw the candlelight and dinner set for two inside the mausoleum of all my blind dates. This one takes the cake. His version of a compliment was you're too pretty to cremate. Been out with some weirdos, potheads and big talkers, but this'll be my last date with Eddie the Embalmer. He sang "Don't Fear the Reaper" as he poured a glass of blood red wine. I could tell that he was proud as he told me all about this tomb full of his clients of all my blind dates. This one takes the cake. He said the girls I spend my time with usually aren't awake. Been out with some losers, muscleheads and stalkers, weirdos, dweebs, skinheads, polygamist wife shoppers. I think there's poison in this wine. Someone give me a doctor. Yes, this may really be my last date with Eddie the Embalmer. Or my last date ever. Thank you.
Well, I was talking to Tim, your husband, and he said, and mentioned that national anthem at the White Sox game.
Oh, yeah.
How did that happen?
That's a really good question. Okay, remember cassette tapes?
Oh, yeah.
So, I don't know if you can still buy them, but you can get cassette tape, like blank cassette tapes. And at that time, I was just a first-year teacher on a small salary, and I had no idea what CDs really were by that time. And we're not talking like decades ago. It feels that way, but well, maybe it was decades. Let's see. No. So anyway, I had this opportunity to kind of sing the anthem around, and I'd kind of been known that if somebody wanted the anthem sung, they could get me in like a pinch. Like I'd sung at like wrestling tournaments at the school and just random stuff. And then I think I sang that year for the Sioux Falls Canaries, and it kind of opened up my eyes, and it kind of became a hobby of mine because every time I'd sing at a stadium, I'd buy a visor. So I was trying to build my visor collection, and so I started looking into it on how to actually apply to sing, and I somehow found out, I just kind of targeted where I would be willing to travel to, basically. And I sent them a cassette tape of me singing the national anthem on my little boom box that I recorded, and they called me back, which was the craziest thing. I thought maybe they just had picked up the no pile and accidentally called me or something. I don't know. It was crazy, but it was a really cool experience. Yeah. And we had an anonymous donor donate flight mileage so that Tim and I could actually fly there.
Really?
Yeah, it was a really cool experience.
That's got to be pretty fun, singing in front of that many people.
Yeah, it was big. Yeah.
And then that big cheer at the end. Are they cheering for you, or they're cheering for the
I think they're cheering because it was over. Because nobody's really there to hear the anthem singer, unless it's like a national championship and like Carrie Underwood singing there. But they just want you to sing it fast so they can get to the game because that's why everybody's there.
Well, the voice of yours, I mean, I can imagine hearing the national anthem.
Thanks.
When did you start developing that voice? When did it go from a little girl to that big? I mean, we were talking in the back how the range is so big and the power comes out. When did that happen?
Well, I think my voice development really happened in college because I didn't think I was good enough to be a music teacher. I had some people that discouraged me kind of along the way. And I've always been one of those people that if you tell me I can't do it, I'm going to try my hardest to prove to you that I can. And so when I went to SDSU, I was in general ed for a while. And then my dad basically told me that by the end of my second year, I better have a major. And I was like, I kind of wanted to be a history teacher, but then when I started failing my history classes, I was like, this isn't going to work. And I was like, well, I would love to teach music. I just didn't think that I was good enough to do it. So something happened and I ended up declaring my major in music and I did music ed. And I just remember on my senior recital, of course, you learn like classical music and how to sing different styles. And I think that's really where the development kind of took off. I just remember seeing one of my classmates who came to my senior recital and she had not heard me sing in, well, that took 5 years, not high school, but college took 5 years. And she hadn't heard me sing since high school. And she said, wow, you are not the same person. And so I just really credit that to my instructors at SDSU. I think that's where that really developed.
So it was kind of building as you were going to school, and you probably didn't notice it because it was slowly building up.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Interesting.
It was a whole different style that I hadn't sung before. So.
Real quick, you said when someone says you can't do it, it makes you try harder. Is that to prove to them, to yourself, or both?
It probably starts off more to them, but I think it, in turn, like, then you look back and you're like, holy cow, I actually did it. Monday can't help that it's Monday. That's what it is, no other day. Rivers can't help but drift away. That's how it is, there's no other way. And I can't help but love you, even when I know it's wrong. Keeps on moving, but the feeling's just as strong. If there was any way to end this, I would. I don't know, I do. I can't help but love you. The past can't help but be the past. That's what it is. We can't go back. It is, they don't fade fast. And I can't help but love you, even when I know it's wrong. I can't even find one reason why I should. help but love you. Thank you. Shoo. There were a couple.
If you'd like to know more about the artists we feature, visit thewhitewallsessions.com. The White Wall Sessions Radio is recorded and produced at Last Stop Studios in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Last Stop Studios is located in the lower level of the Last Stop CD Shop at 2121 East 10th Street in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Executive producers are Jeff Zuger and Doug Taylor. Head of Broadcast Engineering is Dave Palmer. Audio technicians are Chad Conrad, Carl Koiser, and Dave Palmer. Audio mixing is Chad Conrad. Associate producer is Michael Yeager. Scheduling and sales is Tom Eisner. I'm your host, Dan Schaefer. Join us again next week for another edition of the White Wall Sessions Radio.